Okay, you guys, I'm a huge Half-Life fan. I started with Half-Life 2 and played its episodes, then moved to the past to play Half-Life 1 and its expansions. And just like this year, as of the making of this review, we're going to the past again and revisit City 17, 5 years before the collapse of the Citadel and the death of Eli Vance in VR. Let's start from the beginning. The story begins with the Citadel being built while combined dropships and striders come and go in front of your eyes. You can interact with almost everything, and this sets the stage of how you're going to spend 90% of the entire game. Through and through, it's a Half-Life game. You go through these linear sections of the map, shoot some zombies and combines, reliving moments with headcrabs and also meeting up their new mutated cousins like these bulletproof headcrab things, which brings a new challenge when dealing with our small familiar friends. We still have some puzzles to solve, which are all good and rewarding, but these hacking puzzles by using the multi-tool is a great addition. These things give us a good break from all those exploring and shooting, but I do think they overstayed their welcome. Some part of me wanted to see more of the traditional Half-Life puzzles. However, all the traditional puzzles we got are at least enough. As I mentioned earlier, 90% of the game is all about exploring because in VR, exploring has never been this fun. In VR, players actually play things more slowly because they wanted to take every small detail that they can take, since it's just so interesting seeing these handcrafted 3D models as if you're a part of the virtual world looking at stuff from reality. You can interact with almost anything, and not only you can hold them but also you can use them, well, some of them, to throw stuff at enemies, push headcrabs away when they jump, and throw things like this. Exploring also rewards players with resins, which you can use to upgrade your weapons at the combine upgrade stations. This gives a sense of progression that is very lore accurate compared to Gordon Freeman, the series' main protagonist, that progresses by getting new and unique tools and weapons in either defeating enemies during the Resonance Cascade and during the events of the Half-Life 2s. Veteran players will also be usually rewarded when they explore more via small cake slices of the Half-Life lore, like how the media reacted when Earth surrendered during the 7-hour war, and seeing familiar things and Easter eggs that I wouldn't spoil here. Let's talk about combat. Half-Life 1 gave us the crowbar. Half-Life 2 gave us the gravity guns. Half-Life Alyx, on the other hand, gave us the gravity gloves. And this is a very fun addition to the universe. In game, it's called the Russells, provided by the Russell character that you talk with via radio to give more story bits, narrative context, and some jokes and small conversations every step of the way. I do recommend to listening to everything he has to say because they are all interesting, which reminded me a lot of the small talks that we got in Portal 2 and in the Left 4 Deads. It's not always available to talk to, though, since there will be times where the game needs to give you a horror atmosphere to really immerse yourself in the setting you are in. Going back to the gravity gloves, this thing made crouching down to reach some stuff on the ground in VR like a thing from the past. You just aim your hands on some object wait for that object to get highlighted, hold down your trigger, and with just a flick of the wrist, that object will now throw itself to you to catch. What I love about this thing is that it never gets old and it always feels like you're a badass.
Oh, almost forgot. Guns need ammo. Here you go. Right, heading back to the courtroom.
This mechanic is really helpful during combat situations because you can literally reach for grenades lying on the Combine's belt and use them grenades against them. You can also reach for these red tanks and throw them towards a horde of zombies only for them to get exploded by your guns. Like I said, there are also guns in the game that you can upgrade, but this is the smallest weapon catalog that we ever got in a Half-Life game. The upgrades don't help with giving you that good sense of progression, though, because these upgrades felt more like just upgrades compared to the sense of variety of the previous weapon catalogs that I think is a core element of the Half-Life franchise. The upgrades also felt like it made the game easier for me, which made the combat sections, especially with the Combine, like a point and shoot section rather than a more tactical one. While I do think the gunfight sections here took a downturn, they do feel refreshing since we're all playing it in VR. Before the release of the game, according to Valve, the game is as long as Half-Life 2, but I was only able to beat its entirety for 11 hours on normal difficulty with continuous motion, so no teleporting here. I tried to explore everything in the map, was able to get a ton of upgrades to my guns, and still felt like this is the shortest Half-Life game ever if we didn't include the Half-Life 2 episodes. As mentioned earlier, the combat section is also somewhat lacking, especially with the Combine, which made the game feel like it's a "we don't go to Ravenholm" chapter on steroids, since we spent more time with the zombies and the other aliens. This leads me to wanting more, and I do hope Valve will just reuse the same assets and game mechanics on a new Half-Life game in the future. Valve, please, more shootouts, or maybe balance the horror and the action sections in the next game. Other than that, this makes you feel like you're a part of the world. Every character is well written, the story is pretty good, and I feel like this is a very good addition to the series. Now, will it revolutionize VR gaming as a whole? I still don't know the answer to that because we need a few more years to know the lasting results of Half-Life Alyx. But I do think this is the right step on what's next for VR gaming. Half-Life Alyx is the best VR game out there, and it deserves a 10 out of 10. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. I'm planning to do a spoiler review next, where we focus more about Half-Life Alyx's story and how does its story fit in the entirety of the Half-Life universe. Subscribe to see that video first, and if you agree with me or disagree, the rating in the comment section is just there down below. Goodbye and take care, you guys.